The Pools of Bethesda. Now, I've never actually read the Bible, which I probably shouldn't be admitting on the pulpit. Just imagine I'm on the pulpit. But I have heard this story before. I've heard it in reference to the loving and healing powers of Jesus, and also in reference to the dry writing of the individual was immediately healed, which is not the most riveting storytelling. Probably why I still haven't read the Bible. When I was thinking about this verse, though, I realized I had some conflicting thoughts on it. On one hand, there was a real truth about the effort and choice it takes to heal, and on the other hand, Jesus telling a paralyzed guy to just stand up felt a little rude. The more I reread this verse and reflected on my own ideas about healing and justice, the more I felt like the pools of Bethesda exist for all of us, albeit in less magical and more time-consuming ways. When I was in my freshman year of high school, my grandfather died. Big change in tone, I know. I saw him a few times a year, and I wasn't super close with him, but his presence in my grandparents' home was a grounded and loving one, and being in that house without him was not easy. His was one of the first deaths in my family that I was old enough and close enough to him to really feel and understand, and for a few weeks after, my mind was in a rough place. I was unhappy, unmotivated, and I found it very easy to indulge in things like food, television, and my own thoughts. As the anxiety began to catch up to me, I asked my mom if I could try therapy. So in the summer, I began meeting with my current therapist, Ria, who I love for her deep compassion, good humor, and much-needed roughness. Through her, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder, and we started discussing that, my relationships, and anything else that crossed my worried mind. I have found my own pools of Bethesda in therapy. To call Ria the angel that stirs the waters would be an understatement, because she is at times more a cargo ship dragging me along. But on the best days, she really does just stir the water for me to heal in. Because in therapy, the patient's willing participation is paramount to the healing taken from the treatment. Now, the story we're able to see in the Bible is small, but it does paint a wider picture. For 38 years, this sick man has been waiting by the pools of Bethesda to be healed. And honestly, props to him, I can barely wait 5 minutes to go to the bathroom. But this man has been waiting 38 years. And when Jesus asks him if he wants to be healed, he tells Jesus that every time he tries, someone steps into the pool before him and they are healed instead of him. Now, if I had a magic pool, I wouldn't be as stingy as the angels are, but for the sake of the metaphor, it makes sense. For a lot of people, being healed is a privilege, one based in wealth, laws, location, race, and many more variables. To say that the sick man simply wasn't trying hard enough would be unempathetic to not only his disability, but any of the other things we don't know about him. And even then, say he wasn't trying. Say every time the pool was stirred, he sat back dejectedly and watched someone else enter the pool before him. I couldn't blame him. I couldn't blame a paralyzed man who'd been denied healing for 38 years for losing some faith in Bethesda. And I'm sure there are many people of color, queer people, and disabled people here who know what it's like to lose faith in systems of healing. And still, this man decided, with the help of Jesus, to stand up. And sometimes, a push from someone who loves us is all we need to ignore our doubts and make the choice to heal. So where I think this story may have a blind spot in the workings of privilege, I also think there is a very true and human lesson about the choices we make in our own healing. One of the first things I learned in my work with my anxiety disorder is that there is no end-all solution. Sometimes the only way through a difficult task or an anxiety attack is to confront the fears head-on and decide not to listen. Over time, I have become much better at challenging myself on the reality of my worries or asking if there is an action I can take in place of looping myself back through my anxiety. And still, I give myself empathy, because I am not perfect. At the beginning, it was unfathomable to me that I could simply decide to not listen to my anxiety. I had lived for 14 years until then only knowing repetitive thought loops and obsessive anxiety. I know now that it takes time and will continue taking time to unlearn the tactics I created to survive my own brain. When I was applying to colleges, a lot of the things we discussed in therapy related to my work ethic, my anxiety around doing difficult things, and skills I would need as a hopefully self-sufficient adult. Again, after encountering many mental roadblocks and maybe some attention deficiency about my ability to choose to do what I needed to do, I began to see that ignoring all the thoughts and distractions and choosing to do even a little at a time, though not easy, is possible. And that was difficult for me. And again, this is not a choice that everyone can make. I have had quite literally years of help working with someone whose job it is to make me a better person. Yes, that's not exactly what her job is, but I am very lucky to have been able to get the help that I get. I'm not telling everyone to go become a licensed therapist, but hopefully more of us can be like Jesus in this story and find opportunities to help people help themselves. Everyone deserves to find their own pools of Bethesda. For someone else, it may be therapy, or journaling, or yoga, or just talking to a friend. The important thing is that we choose to do it. And when we make those choices, we open ourselves up to choices we never knew existed. By choosing to listen to myself, and allowing my anxiety to exist within all the other parts of my brain and my body, I've found other pools of Bethesda. My art, my family, even the stars. I firmly believe that without the extensive help of my therapist Ria, my friends, and my connection to myself, I would never have been able to make the choice to get hormone replacement therapy and start a new journey in my transition. Soon I'll be stepping into another pool of Bethesda, and I couldn't have found it without all the incredible people in my life who want healing for me. So I hope to, as often as I can, be as loving as Jesus was in his efforts to help someone heal, and as strong as the sick man to choose healing while embracing a lifetime of wounds. And I hope for that love and strength in all of you too.